It's a precision that I've never heard spelled out so clearly. He wrote, I quote, "The limited, tangible fragments that in common usage we call bodies are not complete beings. They are only the nucleus of such beings, their organizational center. In each case, the real extension of these bodies coincide with the full dimensions of the universe." Fascinating. When Joseph Campbell said that he wanted to place metaphor at the heart of our exploration of Western spirituality, I want to give you 3 quick little experiences that I have had about that statement. When I was in my training in the Jesuits, they needed somebody to be a beekeeper. And so I volunteered to be the beekeeper. And one of the very first things you learn when you work with bee colonies, maybe some of you have seen, you see a swarm, I don't know if you've seen them, but there's a branch hanging down from a tree, and there's this huge ball of bees on it. The queen has landed there, and then everybody else clusters in around her, and it's just there, this big hanging ball. What you learn very quickly, and you don't learn it in your head, you feel it in your body, is that large living ball is a single living organism. The one and the many is the great problem in philosophy. It has been there since the beginning. The one, how can the many be one? How can the one be many? That can never be answered in the mind. It can only be known in the body. And when you work with bees, you learn that very quickly. Each has its own personality, but it's the many are one and the one are many. So as Gene would say in the quote that Ed used earlier, he said, "Your physically felt body is part of the whole universe." So you see, we're all feeling our way into that. We like to think of ourselves as totally separate. We're just cut off from everything, and I'm me, and you're you, and ne'er the twain shall meet. But we're tied in. Think of lungs and air and breathing. You can separate them into isolated little pieces and talk about them as though they were something in themselves. But they're all a single, tied together physical process. And that's what we're trying to feel our way into. That's what's happening now. Within churches, if people are voting with their feet, and going somewhere else or looking somewhere else, it's because they feel there's something missing in their spirituality. And what's missing is the inclusion of the body and the body's role in spiritual development. That's why what I'm saying here, I say to you as members of the community of focusing, can you even begin to imagine what would happen if the differing religions in the world would come together not to discuss or battle over their poisoned histories, not to find ways that they can conform their different cultural ways of connecting with a higher power, but if they could come together in the one thing that we have all together. And that one thing is we all share the same human body. That if the body isn't integrated into spirituality, then spirituality is going to go nowhere. Or somebody who's in charge will say, you're going to do what I tell you to do. And so that's why people are voting with their feet. Now, here's where the felt shift lies. When Galileo and Copernicus turned everything topsy-turvy, upsetting the serene, stable order of our then imagined geocentric universe. And they did that by changing the relationship between sun, moon, earth, and stars. They introduced a perception-shattering new paradigm, which demanded a changed perspective on the universe. But even more, it opened the door to a whole new way of experiencing ourselves within the universe. We were no longer the center of everything. Developing new eyes to see and ears to hear did not just stop with the sun, the moon, and the stars. This powerful new experience, this remarkable gestalt, if you would want to use that, would eventually thrust deep roots within the communal body of humankind itself, transforming and challenging even our most intimate inner experience of ourselves. The effects of this inner renaissance continue accelerating within our own time. It's opening a spiritual doorway into that larger body, which for Christians, St. Luke described in his Acts of the Apostles as the one in whom we live and move and have our very experience, our very being. So in closing, I just want to say that I think that Jean, supported by Mary, and Mary's had a tremendous impact on the development of focusing. I used to think that they had provided us with a psychological key to unlocking this deeper experience within what it means to be human. However, after years of reflection and personal experience, I've come to realize that my earlier assumption was not quite accurate. What they have done is to shine a light upon the keyhole which lies within each and every one of us, and our bodies themselves offer the keys which open this unfolding dimension of awareness within human evolving. So on behalf of both Ed and myself, we want to thank you all for your kind attention, and especially for inviting us to speak at this conference. Both of us hope to remain vertical long enough to continue our journey with you into the farther reaches of what yet lies ahead for focusing explorers, something which we express in our own language as a BioSpiritual journey of exploration into God. Thank you.